I'm willing to take full responsibility.
There's no denying that video games are a fantastic form of entertainment, allowing us to live the sort of lives that are beyond the realm of possibility, being a dragonborn, Jedi, 7-foot wall of armour and weapon, or you can be a mere 10-year-old child with the ability to capture, tame and battle fantastical creatures called Pokemon.
But as great as it is being these protagonists, sometimes the world they inhabit can often be a place resulting in a very short lifespan if you actually live there. Hello, I'm Craig.
And I'm Heather.
And here are our top picks for the top 5 video game worlds we do not want to live in.
I chose the impossible. I chose Rapture.
Starting off our list is the beautifully dystopian underwater city of Rapture from Bioshock, a groundbreaking game from 2007 in terms of gameplay, world design and storytelling. Bioshock blew many gamers' minds when it first released 16 years ago and is still a great game to explore and immerse yourself in.
But as great as the city is, there is not a chance in hell you would ever want to live here, even if you aren't a philosopher. Built by Andrew Ryan in the late 50s to be a utopia away from the Cold War, the city was meant to be a paradise for artisans, creators, scientists and many other professionals, not being judged by societal morals and ethics.
Of course, this plunged the city into chaos as people went running amok with a gang war started by Frank Fontaine. And once the substance Adam was discovered, this only made things worse, giving a bunch of morally and ethically bankrupt people the ability to shoot lightning, fire and even bees from their hands. Pretty soon everything went to hell.
Now the decaying city, full of ruptured pipes, flooded hallways and sinking sections, is full of roaming gangs of splicers and Adam addicts who will do anything they can to get one more fix. And then there are the Big Daddies, hulking monstrosities that guard little sisters who carry plenty of Adam. Big Daddies can take on whole gangs of slicers and barely get a scratch on their mechanical diver suit of armour, and they are one of the toughest types of enemies in all of video games.
I definitely wouldn't want to live here because open water gives me the heebie-jeebies, and Rapture is an underwater city. The whale that crosses your bathysphere during the opening really creeped me out before even entering the city filled with crazed lunatics and security drones that seem to hate you in particular.
Plasma's changed everything.
Jimmy?
Dad?
Next up on our list is probably the closest one to our own real world, and that is the post-pandemic and post-apocalyptic Earth from the Last of Us series.
In The Last of Us, things go bad really fast following an outbreak of a mutant cordyceps fungus that transforms human hosts into deformed cannibalistic monsters. The bulk of the game is spent 20 years after this highly infectious disease has ravaged the world, and we get to see the fallout of the disaster firsthand.
We see the stereotypical scenes of abandoned vehicles and belongings often seen in the aftermath of zombie apocalypse creative works, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is definitely a world that we do not want to live in. Not only is there the constant threat of being infected or being attacked by infected hordes, but it is arguable that the biggest threats in this world are human.
There are militarised zones with people living in poverty under strict regimes, factions with their own set of survival rules, wild hungry beasts and roaming bandits, raiders and rapists. It is these things that I would be most concerned about if I lived in this world. At least the dreaded clickers do not have the unpredictability that humans do. All in all, it's turned man into self-serving savages.
But it's more than just all these factors, it's also how depressing this world truly is. There is not a single shred of hope to be found anywhere. The people who have survived are broken and beaten down through their own experience of living through this quasi-zombie apocalypse. Spoiler alert for the first game, even if Joel turned in early to the Fireflies to concoct their cure for the cordyceps virus, there is no guarantee that this would have made anything better. As I said, it's the humans that are the real monsters. Evidenced by even Joel's actions and the other so-called protagonists we meet.
Our family's torn apart. Whole damn world seemed to have turned upside down in a blink.
Sticking with Earth but switching franchises, the world in Fallout 3 is one we would not like to find ourselves inhabiting. Following a nuclear war that saw the Earth fall into chaos and savagery, we see a future world suffering in the aftermath.
It is a world now overrun with mutated creatures, many of which are more powerful, stronger, faster and tougher than you could ever hope to be. Each game takes place in different parts of the US, but the same type of enemies will always crop up. From the various types of feral ghouls, the gangs of super mutants, raiders, marauders, giant rat scorpions, mutated bears known as Yaoguai, and of course the Deathclaw that could kill many a person with a single hit.
And that's before even mentioning the pockets of radioactive fallout littered throughout the areas you explore, some more deadly than others, where you can gain radiation poisoning that can only be cured by either certain items you can carry or by visiting a doctor to be cured.
Each game also have their own enemies that are specific to their area, from the Centaur super mutants used as guard dogs in Fallout 3, the annoyingly powerful Cazadors in Fallout New Vegas, and the Mirelurk Queens from Fallout 4, and the vicious bat creatures of Fallout 76.
But while the whole Fallout universe is a terrifying hellscape from which no sane person will want to live, for this particular list we are singling out the ruins of Washington DC from Fallout 3. While Fallout 4, Fallout 76 and New Vegas have their own set of perils, there's something about the dinginess of the capital wasteland that none of the other games capture.
There's a true sense of grime, dirt and just desolation that make the game feel both lived in and deadly. Fallout 4, while a game I really like, sometimes gives me a sort of clean vibe, as if it's on the cusp of coming back from the ashes. No such luck with the ruins of DC, where danger and death lurk around every corner and in many guises. Make sure you pack a lot of stimpaks and radaways, you're gonna need them.
And this is just the aftermath of the war. One of the most disturbing aspects of Fallout are the experiments that took place in the vaults, which gives you a good idea of the kind of people who existed before the bombs dropped.
Gary!
And their descendants are likely to share their ancestral dark scientific musings.
Our penultimate entry is Sera, the planet from the Gears of War series. A world that has been rife with war since before the games even take place, where man fought man over many precious resources. Insert real world analogy here. But what makes Sera even worse than the constant conflicts between nations is that 14 years before the start of the first game, hellish creatures from deep beneath the planet's surface, known as the Locust Horde, literally erupted out of the ground, slaughtering and killing billions, making mankind almost a distant memory.
It was only through the most desperate acts of destroying our cities where the Locust Horde repelled enough for mankind to turn only one city, Jacinto, into a fortress that the Locust have yet to penetrate.
And it's the Locusts themselves that make this world almost feel like hell on earth, with many of the creatures being nightmarish beyond all reason. From the Krill, a swarm of bird-like piranhas that can devour anything and anyone who gets near them, but they only come out at night, so sorry night owls, you better stay indoors when the sun goes down.
Then there's the giant hulking Brumax with wrist and shoulder mounted cannons and guns that can stomp and slaughter whole groups of soldiers.
And of course the pièce de resistance, the Berserker.
We have a berserker in the vicinity. Please advise.
Now the Berserker is blind, which might make you think you have a massive advantage, but she more than makes up for it. For one, her other senses are heightened, having ears like a bat and a sense of smell like a shark, but even beyond all that is the fact that she is immune to conventional fire. Only able to be taken down by the Hammer-Dawn super laser, the same laser that scorched the planet to begin with, there is no other weapon that can even make a Berserker flinch. So get your running shoes on, because if she catches you, you are toast.
And of course, things only get worse after the first game. At the end of the second game, the aforementioned human stronghold is sank by the humans in a desperate bid to flood and drown the Locust. And of course, let's not forget the swarm that appears in Gears 4 and 5. All in, Sera is practically hell on earth. So, what could be worse than an almost literal hell on earth? Well, how about literally hell on earth with our final entry, Doom Eternal?
The sequel to 2016's Doom sees you once again step into the boots of the Doomslayer, only this time we're not on Mars but on Earth. The hordes of hell have not invaded the planet but have conquered and converted much of our world to suit their demonic needs.
There is little evidence that humans once inhabited the planet, and the Doomslayer embarks on a mission to end hell's consumption of Earth and foil an alien's plan to exterminate humanity. Although, based on what we see in the game, it doesn't look like there's much left to save or prevent. Apparently 60% of the planet has already been consumed, and the majority of the human population were killed during the first month of the invasion.
But maybe it won't be so bad to live here, since the Doom guy spends most of his time jumping about from wall to wall, and it looks like fun slaughtering demons, providing we are also given the same weapons as him.
Even with the same weapons that the Doom guy has, I still wouldn't want to live here. This will be a very short entry because the reasons for not wanting to live in a hell on earth should be quite obvious unless you are a complete lunatic and or Marilyn Manson. The world is fire and brimstone, crawling with demons the likes of which you have only seen in your nightmares. That's why humans had to bring in the big guns.
And there we go, there's 5 worlds we would not want to live in, no matter how much somebody offered to pay us.
There are a lot of other dystopian visions in video games, but those are just a handful of ones that seem particularly inhospitable to us. Let us know in the comments which gaming universe you would not want to live in and why.
Don't forget to check out some of our other videos on the channel as we regularly upload a diverse variety of content including gaming lists, tips, reviews, discussions and more.
I've been Heather.
And I've been Craig.
This is Amalgamingle and thank you very much for watching.